Welcome to Don't Mind Me, I Just Have ADHD, the podcast where fierce kindness meets the unfiltered truth. A one-stop shop about all things ADHD, where we smash the stigma and mystery around ADHD, depression, and the masks we wear at work and in life. I'm Ron, your ADHD guy, your guide, and your reminder that being different isn't a flaw. It's a biological advantage. A signal that you were never meant to blend in. You were built to make a difference. Here, we face the struggles that no one seems to get with heart. We unpack the chaos. We build strength through our sensitivity. We turn pain into power. Because kindness isn't weak. It's a revolution. And every time you show up for yourself, that's you taking your life back. So let's make it cool to be different. Let's make it brave. Let's make it yours.
Well, I've been diagnosed since I was probably like 12 or 13. So
Wow.
It's a big part of my life. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good and a bad thing sometimes.
The thing that stuck with me was my dad saying, "You kind of suck the air out of the room."
Wow.
And so I was like, I gotta love me. I'm the only me
Yeah.
I've got. But I know I'm a lot to be around. And it was kind of hard to love me.
What if the reason you always felt different was because you are? And what if that wasn't a flaw, but a sign that your brain, your heart, your identity were wired for something bigger? I'm Ron Sowers, your ADHD guy, and this is Don't Mind Me, I Just Have ADHD, the podcast where we unmask, unlearn, and uncover the truth about living with a neurodivergent brain. And today, we're celebrating pride in the most personal way by exploring the deep, often invisible overlap between ADHD and the LGBTQ plus experience. You'll hear the voices of those who lived at the intersection, like Mimi, who said there's a gaslighting that comes with holding both identities, a hyper visibility and invisibility at the same time. Whoa. Or Natasha, who came out as bi at 28 and was diagnosed with ADHD at 29. She says, it was never about being broken. It just wasn't seen clearly, not even by myself. But this isn't about the stories. It's about the science too. Research shows those with ADHD are more likely to identify as LGBTQ+, and these same folks more likely to have undiagnosed ADHD. Why? Don't worry. We'll explore that and much more, so stay tuned. And whether you're ADHD, LGBTQ+, or just beautifully human, this episode is for anyone who's ever asked, where do I belong? Let's find out together. Before I had the words ADHD or queer, I had the feeling of being different. And I wore that difference like a scar. These are the words of an ADHD magazine subscriber. So for me, going out on this journey and this beautifully eye-opening journey of going out and talking to people as I normally do about in the LGBTQ plus community has been eye opening. And in the fact that, although I'm not part of that community, I felt connection. I felt a sense of belonging when I went to these pride events, and I felt included, even though, like, there's been times in my life where I was curious. I didn't know if what my attractions were, and over time, I'm still figuring that out, and it's okay. So, but the thing that really I connected with was, like, we are struggling with the same thing in the ADHD as personally for me in the ADHD, having it's not feeling like I'm enough, having to feel like I have to mask who I am. And I felt a sense of connection to that same struggle, to that same sense of identity. And, it has really opened up my perspective, which continues to grow when I go out there and I communicate and I go and have these deep conversations. Because I can remember growing up, like, I always felt like I was too sensitive. It's just too weird. Like, I was so weird. Like, I just didn't feel like I belonged. And I would oftentimes sit by myself at lunch. I don't remember having a lot of friends in high school. I felt like it was by choice because, like, I was better off being alone. Because I don't know if I felt like anyone understood me. And I could remember this one time when this girl had came up to me at lunch and asked me if I would like to join that group, and sit with them, which was an incredible, an incredible thing to offer. But in my head, like, I felt like it was a trap. Like, they were just going to use that as an opportunity to make fun of me. And I just couldn't believe that somebody would want for me to sit with them. So I told them no. I told her no. Like, I don't want, I'm good right here. Thank you. And that stuck with me for a long time. And, I felt like I couldn't connect. And I was just so different, and that led down, a long dark path of discovery and pain, and and these stories, because this is just really about the stories, so. And the message that I'm not alone. So Patricia from Illinois put it like this: people in the LGBTQ community already have one strike against them by being different. Being neurospicy makes it even harder to blend in. I'm not sure the best way to help besides giving people safe places to be themselves.
In my life and how I transition with being, gay and coming out. It was really hard for me to come out. It was actually really really, let's say like it was not easy coming out with being Latino. It was more of accepting myself.
So we talk a lot about masking in the ADHD community, how we hide our true selves to fit in. But that mask can get even heavier when you're also LGBTQ plus. Like having to put on that mask every day. Going into work. Oh, it's Monday. I've got to get everything right. I've got to be this. And, you know, just having maybe one day to relax and not have to be on or be somebody that they're not. You know, it's exhausting. And then having that extra layer on top. And for many, this is a double mask. And carrying it for too long can lead to burnout, anxiety, depression, or worse. Because when you're constantly managing how others perceive you, there's not much energy left for you or time to be you. So let's break this down. Both ADHD and LGBTQ plus folks experience higher rates of trauma, rejection, and social exclusion. Rejection, sensitivity, dysphoria, or RSD, a core ADHD experience, gets tuned up to 11 when someone is also navigating queerphobia, gender dysphoria, or even social erasure. The stress of not fitting in, called minority stress, can make ADHD symptoms even worse. The double stigma is real, but so is double resilience.
For me, there's that gap between like you want to do something and you just sit and stare into space, and bridging that gap. Okay, you know.
Yeah.
And so I could finally do that. For the first time, I like wanted to do something. I just did it.
Yeah.
And I hope kind of keep the best of me, because I feel like it's a gift.
Yeah.
For all our problems.
Yeah.
We're a different kind of person, and there's a beauty to it.
So the science and intersectionality of neuroqueerness. It's not random. There's something beautiful and powerful happening here. Dr. John Kruse, a psychiatrist and neuroscientist, spent over 20 years working with ADHD and LGBTQ plus adults in San Francisco. That's where he began to notice something. The overlap wasn't a coincidence. There was a pattern. Recent studies in Germany and the UK confirm it. Women with ADHD were nearly twice as likely to have same-sex experiences. And trans individuals are 5 times more likely to have ADHD than their cis peers. This overlap gives rise to a new term, neuroqueer, the lived intersection of neurodivergence and queerness. Not a diagnosis, a reality. We're not broken. We're like orchards in a world built for daisies. We need different care, not less value. And like I always like to say, we have advantages that others don't, and the world desperately needs this. So neurodivergence equals difference, not defect. Co-occurring traits influence identity, mental health, and how we navigate the world in a better way. LGBTQ plus neurodivergent folks are often underdiagnosed, underserved, and misunderstood. Healthcare isn't built with us in mind. And that's why so many fall through the cracks. It's time to speak up and join communities that support our growth, not try to make us conform. It only hurts us all in the end. So stand up and speak out with fierce kindness.
A little bit. I mean, there are a lot of people who are very uncomfortable and they're afraid to ask for help, whether it's with their sexuality and or work or school and stuff.
Yeah.
And pride in nowadays, it's a lot better, but back then, 15, 20, 30 years ago, it was more about hiding who you are.
Yeah.
And so now I feel like people are a little bit more open about getting the help they need and being themselves more.
Yeah, and I feel like that's true with ADHD as well. It's like, it's not an issue. It's not a problem like society is telling you.
No, you could just live a normal life and nothing. You just have more stuff to do and more thoughts to think,
Yeah.
It doesn't change who you are. It doesn't make you any different from somebody who's neurotypical. It just means that you process and work a little differently.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it's just one more way that, like, maybe people that are, like, different are feeling even more isolated
different.
and, not part of the community, right?
Kind of, because sometimes it was a lot of obstacles and people that I would bump into, I wouldn't really have, a pleasure time with.
Yeah.
So it was kind of difficult. But a lot of people actually, defeated it. Kind of balanced out, and I know how to, control situations and knowing who are really people that,
they're gonna help
discriminate you or not help you at all.
Yeah.
Also bring you more down and honestly bring you up.
Yeah, and
Mental health care or mental care comes a lot when you socialize or speak to other people. Some people, I value a lot. I listen to people, so when someone tells me something, I take it to heart a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm the type of person
That's
that has
awesome.
the honesty. So I take a lot of stuff personally. So that's why I'm always a kind, sweet person.
That's so awesome.
Thank you.
I mean, I think both things are individually isolating. Now that more people are aware of ADHD and people of the LGBT community, I think things have gotten easier. I think it's really cool that you have a neurodivergent podcast. 10 years ago, that wasn't really a thing.
Yeah.
And same with a pride in a little community like this has grown. I just feel like the awareness overall helps people kind of find who they are and with that identity be able to really thrive.
So I didn't know until recently.
Okay.
I've been out as pan for 8 years.
Yeah.
Bi-gender for 1.
Yeah.
And before that, it was just, this is who I am.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Okay.
And it has been, if anything, helpful. This community feels so welcoming and so warm and so loving because oftentimes we're all we've got. And
that's awesome.
Yeah. That kind of acceptance free of charge is something that I didn't get a lot of.
It's life-changing.
Yeah.
So when the world keeps telling you to be smaller, louder, doesn't just mean volume. It means existing unapologetically. Another Attitude magazine reader describes. Sam from the UK shared this. I'm non-binary, gray asexual, biromantic, and I have ADHD. I didn't figure out most of that until I was 40. Why? Because my ADHD made me miss even the obvious things about myself. So many of us come out late, twice. First as neurodivergent, then as queer, or vice versa. Susan from Florida said, it took a friend in their 30s who had both ADHD and was queer to say, look, let's look into this together. That conversation changed everything. Belonging doesn't mean being the same. It means being safe to show up as you are. From TikTok to chosen family, from support groups to storytelling, we need spaces where both identities are seen, held, and honored. Here's how we can create that. Use affirming language. Don't be afraid to express who you are in a kind and confident way. That could be talking about how you feel, what things get in the way of your well-being, and how others can help you. Build spaces that don't make people choose between identities, that are open and are diverse. Normalize neurodivergence in queer spaces and queerness in neurodivergent spaces. This is who we are, and the masks need to go. Center around storytelling, because stories save lives, and they are the best way to get that information across. And besides, people love a good story.
Absolutely. I think we try to be really, like, it's okay to not be okay kind of thing. Like, if you're having a rough day or you need a little bit of something different today, like, it's okay to ask for that from your teammates.
Yeah, nobody's happy every 24/7. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, and nobody has the same work style either.
I think it's a different world now.
Yeah, being okay to be who you are and be different, and what can you add to the picture.
That's what this is all about.
So if you're listening and wondering if there's a place for you, this is it. You belong here. All of you. Being different in more than one way is hard, but it's also our God-given right. So let's start building a world with more kindness, where nobody has to mask to matter. So if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with someone who needs it. And you can download my free self-discovery journal. Just go to youradhdguy.com and join the kindness movement, or the combo on my TikTok, which is in the show notes. And most importantly, keep showing up beautifully, bravely, neuroqueerly. With all my love, may the source be with you.
I think it allows me to be creative in ways that I don't think I otherwise would be. Because my distractibility kind of takes me to new avenues and new ideas.
Yeah. So that's awesome. That's a strength. That's your superpower.
I try to make it my superpower.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you said like it's really grown in the awareness, but I honestly think it's just not where it could be.
Yeah, for sure.
And that word neurodivergent wasn't even around.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I feel like until like TikTok and stuff, it wasn't really like a known thing.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that word before.
No, definitely, and it has to do with like that identity struggle.
Yeah.
You know, at the core of like, you know, like I know for me, for the longest time, I felt like I was broken.
Yeah.
You know, there was something wrong with me, and I needed to fix it or whatever. But like you said, like one of your superpowers is being creative, and like I just see it as like it's not really the problem.
Yeah.
It's the misunderstanding and the stigma.
Exactly.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and now that people are more aware of it, like it's just nice to be recognized and by it, and I don't know, I'm trying to think of how to phrase it, like when people recognize it's a real thing, not just like laziness or distractibility, it becomes something more tangible to people who don't experience it.
Yeah, and we can embrace that and like really grow as a culture.